At the time, I'm not even sure we could go to the fair. I don't think we could even go to the fair.
So you could only play outside?
Yeah, except for 2 days per year. We could go on the 19th of June, which is Juneteenth. And that was one day in September or October, which was what they call Negro Fair Day or whatever. So we could play there, and you know, a lot of black people worked at the fair, you know, but we couldn't actually, you know, attend. Very few opportunities to play in North Dallas, you know, very few. There might have been a couple of bands who played in North Dallas, Joe Johnson's band. You know, back in those days, you know, a lot of the restaurants, you know, were segregated, you know, college football. Things just started to change in the 1960s. You know, that was probably the most dynamic decade in American history. You had the feminist movement, the civil rights movement, the Vietnam War, the hippie movement. And then, of course, you had those assassinations in the 60s. And the Kennedys, Martin Luther King, Medgar Evers, Malcolm X, so forth and so forth. So that was a dynamic time. The Vietnam War was going on. It was just probably the most eventful decade in American history. Probably even more so than 100 years prior to that, during the Civil War, because it was almost like you know, the country was just being turned around. Once the national scene started to change, the local stuff started to change as well. And of course that meant the union. There was just no real need for 168 local anymore. There was no need for it. And so it just really had to go out of business. I mean, that would have been counterproductive to try to hold on to that when everything else was integrated. And yes, the union had to change, just like America was changing, and it's been a smooth transition. I was really shocked, for example, when I was, for that 1 year that I had transferred my membership to the San Francisco local, because I was living with my grandmother for 1 year while I attended San Francisco State. And in order to work, I had to be in that local. They wouldn't let you work. To find that there were actually black musicians in the San Francisco Symphony, I couldn't believe it, you know. And, you know, there's some other places, there's some other cities, you know, where you have that. But I always thought of that as being one of the last areas, you know, where integration would take place would be with the symphony. And I guess, I can't remember, it's been within the last, I think, 15 years or so, I actually was on the board of the Dallas Symphony. I was on the board of the Dallas Classic Guitar Society. And, you know, I saw what they were trying to do. You know, that was an outreach that was taking place with both of those organizations, you know, and it's still going on, it's still changing. Yes, we were able to play all over town, man.
Did that happen quickly?
It happened, let me just say, gradually. There's several places that helped to bring that about. One was a place on Greenville Avenue called Lou Ann's. A lot of us got to play. That was a big room, big place. And then there was the recovery room. That was a 6051 club on Forest Lane. you know, just some years ago, Betty Green worked at the Fink Mink. It was a place she also worked called the 90th Floor, which was on McKinney. And so we just started to, you know, we started to get all these gigs, man. Anywhere in town that pretty much that we wanted to play.
So it really did made your world bigger.
Exactly. Exactly. Well, in the working world.
Right.
You know, we basically all of those clubs were shut down because nobody wanted to go to those clubs anymore with the whole city opening up. And also better singers, man. I mean, some top-notch female singers came through here, man, and worked here. And they were basically hired to sing at these clubs, and in some cases they brought us along to accompany them, you know, but the bands were always integrated, man. Man, you know, music and sports are the most thoroughly integrated fields in this country. Music and sports. And all anybody cares about, are you good at what you do? It don't make no difference where you're from or what color you are or where you go to church. Can you play? Can you play your instrument or can you play your sport? That's all that matters. And I have always believed that the best example of what makes this American melting pot work is inclusiveness. And the example that I use is the Olympics. Okay, you know, why is it that America is so dominant in the Olympic Games? Because all of our people participate in these sports events. You know, the black guy may not be the greatest swimmer, but he might be the best basketball player. But you got to have all of these sports, you know, where different experiences can come into existence, and you know, we've had.
Well, when our diversity truly makes us stronger.
It does. Because you got all these different points of view. You got all these different life experiences coming to bear on these problems. It's not just a narrow point of view. But in America, man, you got people from all over the world living here and working here and creating here together. And it just enriches our lives and our culture. I mean, it just makes everything better. You know, makes everything better.